Alrighty. Hello everybody, this is Kirusho here. And I just recorded this part. But, hey! Audio glitch. Yay. Now, along with that does at least give me a chance to try doing this part again. And I'll put this at the beginning this time. I've been thinking about doing part 1 to What If Deku Was a Reality Bender today, or at least recording it tonight. So, would you guys like to see part 1 now, or have me continue doing the series? That is my question. Anyways, let us continue. Whenever we last left off, Midoriya, he made a deal with this school, telling them that if they win, they can take him, and that if he wins, he'll kill them. He'll kill him, and anyone else that he is associated with, and he will not make it a quick death. Now, Midoriya rushed towards the man, watching as he himself begins to morph and change, his eyes turning as he immediately coats himself to the Kakuja. Midoriya seeing that, and realizing this man is a cannibal, as he uses his Kokaku, I believe it's called, and begins to rush towards him, blasting out with his spikes, and letting these things fly, as they directly impact the man's armor, and he shakes them off, rushing towards Midoriya as he throws out his hands to grab him. Midoriya using his Kagune and immediately just pushing off the ground, getting airborne, throwing back his hand and his body and beginning to swing it around, blasting away more spikes to the man as he uses his Kagune to try and attack the Ghoul, as he begins to fight off Midoriya with his own, the two clashing and battling, as Midoriya, he does not have the upper hand. This is a full Kakuja, and it is beginning to show. Very much so. Anytime Midoriya rushes towards the man and tries to impact him, yeah, the man has a strength advantage. Midoriya has a bit of speed, he believes, as he rushes in this time and tries to impact the man's armor, using his Kagune and tries to stab into it. As soon as he gets a successful hit, he does at least think that he has a chance now, beginning to let out a fury of attacks, as he uses his Kagune and begins to try and smash into and slash into the man's body, along with fight him. The man bringing his hand down and smashing it directly on Midoriya's shoulder, as he breaks Midoriya's left arm, and sends him flying away with a punch. Midoriya smashing into the ground and being sent flying, as he skids across the warehouse floor, and gets back up. Now, he is royally pissed off, as he begins to use his Kagune, and his other one, forming his own Kakohu, and trying to battle, as they begin. Midoriya rushing forwards, and the man seeing this, as the two clash once more. As Midoriya, he's slashing away at and beginning to show off his intense speed. And the man seeing this, wondering if the kid himself was a cannibal, and being a bit more surprised. A ghoul of his type, along with being a one-eyed. The kid is special, yes, as he does throw out his hand, swatting Midoriya out of the air like a fly, before grabbing onto his Kagune and tearing it off of his back. Midoriya actually losing momentum in the air as he smashes into the ground, getting back up and trying to fight, Rushing forward as he slashes upwards into the man's chest, stabbing directly through his armor, and cutting into the body underneath. As he just picks up Midoriya by his throat, and runs his arm through the boy's chest. Midoriya actually spitting out blood as he spits it directly into the man's eyes, covering them. The man going to drop Midoriya to at least wipe away his face as Midoriya uses his Kagune, and slashes straight upwards through the ghoul's eyes. The ghoul moving backwards, Midoriya slicing his throat. That's beginning to regenerate. As soon as Midoriya hits the ground, he jumps forwards, and goes feral, beginning to just throw wild attacks, slashing into the man's legs along with his armor, and his skin, along with beginning to eat parts of him. Midoriya tearing away the back of his kneecap, and beginning to eat the meat back there, as he just begins to try and tear into it. The ghoul is regenerating, but anytime Midoriya gets swatted away, he just comes back in, screaming like a wild animal, and attacking over and over and over again. Before the ghouls finally at least had enough, swatting Midoriya out of the air this time, and Midoriya at least moving a certain way, his Kagune being revealed as he throws it out forward, stabbing directly into the ghoul's chest. And Midoriya reveals something. It is harder to keep control, yes, but it's not impossible. His act was going well. So, as he does wipe away his mouth, thinking, hopefully he doesn't have to do that again. He tastes rotten. So, let's see what he can do. The ghoul moving forwards and attacking Midoriya, immediately sucker punching him directly in the chest, breaking parts of his ribs. As Midoriya slashes upwards towards his arms, trying to cut away at muscle fibers, trying to make him immobilized in that suit. It is a good strategy. However, it's not very well executed. The man is one of the best. That's what he's hired to do. In fact, he's usually hired to kill heroes, since they might taste good. Now, the two are fighting and clashing. As the two women, they are trying to think and talk to each other. Their heads are covered, and they need to find a way to get out of here. If they can do that, then, well, they can survive. They can get to the authorities and try and at least report what's going on. So, they try to make a strategy. Getting the bags off their heads is going to be priority number one. If they can do that, then they can look around. Now, they begin to at least try and move. The way they are restrained, it's limited, but it's not impossible. As one of the women get a bag off of their head. It took a bit of time, but yeah, the ghouls are too busy to be paying attention to them, watching as the two are clashing and fighting. And, well, the woman says that it's the three-eyed ghoul. He's fighting against that thing. The other one, surprised, and hearing that, as they just tell her to look around and try and find something to escape. Now, the woman is looking around on the ground, pieces of anything they can use. Now, while that's going on, Midoriya and this other ghoul are still going at it. Midoriya is just maneuvering around the man's arms and trying to make sure he doesn't hit his Kagune. As he just begins to get more and more excited, running around and actually running on the walls, trying to keep the man distracted from him. As Midoriya, he has a plan. Hopefully he can execute it perfectly. As he bites down into his left hand, As soon as he does run towards the other ghoul, he rips it off, and throws blood into the other ghoul's eyes once more, sliding directly underneath them as he detaches his Kagune. And to the other ghoul, he wipes the blood away, looking around and trying to look for Midoriya. His attention immediately going to the prisoners, since they're at least different in appearance now. Clearly they've been escaping, and he sees that. However, he's interrupted by Midoriya's Kagune trap going off, it immediately stabbing upwards and into the man's left leg, along with one of the other ones going up, trying to hit the man in the chest, him backing away and immediately just smashing his hand into the ground, as Midoriya comes in, smashing into the man's back with his other abilities, using that Kokaku and just trying to use it, blasting into the man's back over and over and over again. The man taking his attention away from Midoriya. He's a different ghoul, and he wants to save people, as he rushes towards the two girls. And Midoriya, he works on it, immediately jumping off the wall and smashing directly into the other girls, grabbing both of them and moving out of the way, as the other ghoul smashes his hand downwards to where they were. Midoriya getting back up, and pulling the sack off this other girl's face, explaining to her that they both need to leave, now. Confused at what he sees. This is Bakugo, but he's a chick? Midoriya's face showing pure surprise, along with Bakugo's. She's not too sure what to say. She sees Midoriya, the glow of that thing on his back, and the red tendrils around him, and this thing on his face. He's the three-eyed ghoul. Now, the ghoul behind Midoriya, he rushes forwards, using his claws and smashing his hand into Midoriya's back, and 3 fingers coming out of Midoriya's guts, as he begins to cough up a lot of blood, directly onto Bakugo. Her being taken aback and moving backwards. Midoriya is lifted high up into the air, and the ghoul brings his other hand up and begins to rip Midoriya apart, ripping Midoriya's legs off, and sending him smashing away. Now, Midoriya, his back smashes into a steel beam, along with a few barrels landing on top of him, as the other ghoul turns his attention towards the 2 young women, as you can see the fear in their eyes. The way they're looking at him. They're looking at a monster. So, let's see exactly what I can do to you. As he goes to reach his hand out. The other girl, she immediately turns and runs. Well, Bakugo is frozen in fear. The other ghoul turning his attention to her, and running after her, getting directly in front of the exit, as he kicks her upwards into the air, and begins to toy around with this human, taking them apart very easily, before Midoriya throws something at him. He threw a metal barrel directly at the ghoul's back as he turns his attention towards him, seeing Midoriya, who is at least standing. At least that's what it looks like. Midoriya is using his Kagune to keep himself in the air. So, the boy's clever. As Midoriya begins to rush forwards, his Kagune stabbing into the ground and moving him forward, before the other ghoul just rushes at him, grabs him by his face, and rips off this mask. Bakugo seeing Midoriya, and yeah, She can finally believe it. The mask wasn't a dead giveaway, but his voice, and everything they've been hearing up until now. She's still trying to put it all together, when Midoriya himself is trying to piece everything together. As the ghoul rips Midoriya apart once more, tearing off his arms and his weapons, disarming Midoriya, no pun intended, and beginning to just tell him that their fight is over, and that he has won. You can't possibly outrank a triple S-class ghoul. Now, I believe we had a deal. So, are you done fighting me? Are you finally going to let me just take you? Midoriya just looking at the man. His eyes, at least, still showing off resistance, along with Midoriya's glowing one, as he begins to try and reform his Kakujo. The man, immediately, smashing his right hand directly into Midoriya's face, breaking and fracturing his skull as Midoriya passes out. And he just begins to leave. Since there are sirens outside, clearly they've attracted enough attention, and he does want to leave with his prey intact. As the CCG run in and see what's going on. As the man turns and looks at them, everyone there is on edge, and a few people do at least try and attend to this young girl, along with the other one, since she's in a lot worse state. Now, this is whenever the school simply just jumps through the roof of the warehouse and leaves, almost flying away like an owl. Now, with that being said, Midoriya does wake up sometime later, and he's very confused, since as soon as he does try and at least move, his arms are missing. That being the first thing he notices, along with his legs. He can't feel his toes, as he's also at least looking around. He can hardly move his neck. He's clearly restrained to this thing. However, he can't tell if he's on a table or strapped to a wall. The light that's in front of him is blinding him. Along with his vision, it's very, very hazy. That being whenever he does finally hear a voice, telling him that it's good that he's finally awakened. Now that he can at least begin. That confusing Midoriya. He recognizes that voice. He knows who it is. Ayama. So, you're the one who hired that asshole? If by hired, you mean basically spent a fortune. Yes, I did. However, it was all worth it. You are now mine. My people and I are going to dine on you. Like we should have. Properly, however. Not with the other ghouls there. Not with the Yayorozu present. Yes, I know who she is. A lot of famous ghouls know each other. Especially the rich high-class ones. We all know. However, I was fooled by thinking that you had a quirk, not realizing what you truly are. Your scent. The way you might taste, it must be divine. I simply must savor the flavor. Now, someone will be with you shortly. And remember, you lost. This is your punishment. I bid you goodbye. Yes, I know it's different, but I don't want to say it. Anyways, now, Midoriya is at least trying to think. And put this together in his head. So, he's clearly still in town, right? He couldn't have been out for that long, especially if he still doesn't have his arms. Or, well, his kneecaps. So, let's see. Once I regenerate, I can at least try and figure this out. But for now, I guess I'm stuck here. So, let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. I was stabbed whenever I found out Bakugo was there. Yeah, it's still kind of hard to believe. I can't believe that he's a chick. Why didn't he ever tell me? Or at least just be himself. Like, herself, I guess, actually. Well, I guess Momo was right. People do hide secrets. But, well, she knows mine now, and I know hers. I just hope this all goes well. Please. Just don't tell anyone. Now, as for Bakugo, she was taken into CCG custody and given proper clothing. Now, she was also asked exactly what happened to her, as she at least tried to give a proper statement, explaining that someone, well, abducted them, and asking exactly how the other girl is doing. The other girl, she died from her injuries. They were able to try and patch her up, but she lost a lot of blood. And she had a punctured lung. So, yeah, there wasn't much to be done. However, you do need to answer my questions, young man. Yeah, anyways. Something, something, hmm. Her trying to think. She wants to say it, but she can't even wrap her own mind around it. The man still trying to push her for information, telling her that she needs to give a proper statement, and that they really do not have a lot of time for this. They're very, very busy. They need to hunt down the creature that did this. Before she finally just states that she's not too sure why they were taken. In fact, well, all she remembers is being at home when, well, the afternoon. Then something happened, and she woke up somewhere else. That's as much as she remembers anyway. Then there was another person here. I think they were attacked. They might have been a ghoul. I'm not too sure on it. I think they had an argument. They were clearly working together though. So, they disagreed on something and decided to fight. And they left us behind whenever you guys arrived. Alright. Well, did you see their faces? No, I didn't. I'm sorry. Our, well, we tried to escape. She saw more than I did. In fact, it was only after she was hurt that I was able to get that thing off my head. Then, as she continues to explain it, not really giving out details about Midoriya, since she's not sure how to process it. She knows that withholding information is a serious thing, but she can just play it off as she was too distracted, especially since she was covered in a bit of blood when they found her. So it can be considered trauma. Now, with that being said, I believe that I can leave that off of here, and I do hope you guys enjoyed. And yes, Bakugo is a chick. I tried making that clear with some of the things whenever I talk about him, or I guess her now, since I finally revealed it. But yeah, I tried making it obvious, and apparently I did not. So, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And if you guys do want to see part 1 to Reality Bender Deku, please leave a comment below.